So as you can see, just behind me is the Profoto B30 for approximately €2,500. But the important question is, do you need a flash for €2,500? Well, I would say yes and no. But before I give you an answer why I got this flash anyways, let's continue with the unboxing. So in this wonderful designed box was the Profoto B30, an OCF stand adapter, the case itself, B-series battery, which is compatible also to the smaller version, which is called the Profoto B20, and the version that I had before was called the Profoto B10. So they are all using the same type of battery. However, if you would like to get a spare battery, that will cost you €250 extra. An adapter with a long power cord was included, and you can charge the battery at the same time while you use the flash. So this battery itself has a pass-through charging. So the only downside is that you cannot charge this battery using USB Type-C. That would have been just perfect. And of course you get a protective cap on top of this flash. So as I said, the big downside of all Profoto products in March 2026 is that neither of these batteries have a USB-C port. I'm also using the Profoto A2, so as the Profoto A10, and I would just love to charge the battery using USB-C, because I'm using the Profoto A10 for all the events I'm shooting, while the A2 is kind of a backup flash for the A10, while sometimes I also use the A2 and have the A10 as a backup. And the A10 is made for my Sony camera, while I'm triggering all these flashes anyways using the Profoto Connect, which we're gonna speak about in a few moments. By the way, Profoto has also two apps. Both of them are absolutely for free and can be downloaded from your app store. So one app is called Profoto Control app. This app allows you to control multiple flashes at the same time. You can turn on the model light, you can test the flash, you can activate and deactivate several flashes at the same time, and you have full control over the intensity. Then there's the Profoto camera app, which is kind of handy. Since they released the Profoto A10, which comes with Bluetooth, you can use your phone to fire this flash. You can change things like the white balance, the ISO, can add some contrast to your photos, and you don't need to bring your camera if you would like to have it simple and just want to carry one flash with you. And of course, the important thing is that you can do firmware updates using this app. So you can do a firmware update here on the Profoto B30, the B20, the A2, so as the Profoto A10. So the big question mark is, why would you choose Profoto over Godox or newer? So why would you spend €2,500 on one of these flashes instead of just spending a quarter of that amount for the kind of same type of flash? I mean, at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter which kind of flash you use, because in my point of view, it's all about the result. So I'm pretty sure that if you select to go with a cheaper flash, such as Godox or newer, you can do the most amount. First of all, you will save a lot of money. You can get tons of accessories. You kind of also get some future things like a touch display on these flashes, or the trigger, for instance. On some flashes you can charge the battery using USB-C, and as I said, at the end the result counts. Therefore, I would say that products from those brands absolutely have their place. But let's speak about my experience using Profoto. In the past, I took most of my photos using the Canon EOS 5D Mark III, the 5D Mark IV, and then I started all over again using the Canon EOS R. And with all my previous cameras, I used to have also the flashes from Canon, which I think was called 500 EX2 or something, for approximately €500. So it was the bigger flash from the same company. Then at one point I was in a photo store in Frankfurt, and they borrowed me the Profoto A1, which was the predecessor of my current Profoto A10. So I took this flash with me on an event, and I must say it was just so easy. First of all, you have that round shaped head. The battery lasts extremely long. I didn't have any black photo out of 3000 on this night. And the big difference between this Profoto A1, which I used in the past, compared to my own Canon flash, was the menu. So the menu of my Canon Speedlight was so complicated, I didn't understand anything. And that's still the same case until today. And let me tell you something, my girlfriend got a flash from Godox. It's kind of the same shape as the Profoto A10 that I use nowadays. So it has that round head, but if you go through the menu, it looks complicated. So she got also a trigger for her camera. That means she can fire up the flash, which does not need to be attached to the camera. And we couldn't figure out how to connect these two devices with each other. So we went on YouTube, someone showed it. So we tried it, it worked. Then she got on a job, she did exactly the same thing because they didn't reconnect. So she couldn't use this flash wirelessly anymore. So she had to take it back onto her camera, and that was a mess for her. So she went on YouTube again, she tried to reconnect, and it just didn't work. And I kind of had the same experience using my Canon Speedlight in the past. I spent it over 500 euros. I had to spend another 100 euros on the trigger. So let me show you something. Here is the Profoto Connect, which is a little tool for approximately 200 euros. And it's so simple. So on one side you have a USB Type-C port that allows you to charge this little device. And this little device lasts for 30 hours. So the only thing you need to do is just make one turn and then it goes to auto, which is kind of TTL. And if you turn it once again, it says manual. So as you can see right here, I just put this on top of my camera. I spin it around to manual because I'm always shooting in manual. First of all, my settings on my camera are in manual, and so as the flash intensity. I never shoot TTL. And as you can see, let me just take a photo here very quick. They are connected instantly without doing anything. So I don't need to go into complicated menus and select, oh, I want to go on channel this and please make sure that you're connected. No, they're instantly connected. I also have the same thing here for my Sony cameras because I'm sometimes shooting either on the Sony A7 IV or my Canon EOS R6, so as my Canon EOS R1. And I tell you something, they will always connect. I never ever had that these two devices did not connect with each other. Sometimes you have to go into the menu and select air on. That means they both connect with each other wirelessly, but by default they will connect. There's a special case if you are on location and someone else is using a Profoto device. You can of course select a different channel here on this one or on the Profoto A2, so as on the Profoto A10. If you do have multiple Profoto flashes, and let's say one is coming from your ceiling, the other one is behind you, and you don't want to regulate the intensity of each individual flash by touching it, there's the Profoto Connect Pro. This one here is the old version. I can use this here on top of my camera and I can select the intensity of each individual flash. On the newer version you have a big screen and it costs approximately 450 euros. I'm not using any Profoto flash on top of my camera, even if I could do it with the Profoto A10, because I always make use here of this wireless trigger. So I can either use this to fire this flash here or this one here, which is the Profoto A2. So let's imagine myself being on a wedding or on another event, let's say on a nightclub, using my camera and an on-camera flash like the Profoto A10. There's a big area here on top of my camera and a much higher chance that someone who's drunk, for instance, or who's dancing, touches my camera, the flash breaks over, and I could potentially damage also my camera. That's why I use the Profoto Connect. The surface, it's super tiny and I always have my second hand with the flash, and usually the light is coming from above and not straight into your face. So that's why I make use of all these wireless flashes, because I have much better control where my light source is coming from, and that gives me kind of this look here that I use to create all my photos with. So now I told you why I use Profoto, and now let's get back to the Profoto B30. So if you would like to get the smaller version, by the way, there's actually a discount at the moment, and I hope that I will release this video before the discount ends. So the Profoto B20 is slightly smaller than this one here, but as I said at the beginning, they're using the same battery. This one here has a model light 5000 looms. The color temperature can be adjusted here between 2800 and 7000 Kelvin, and it can also be used as a video light, as you have seen it from the beginning of my video. And this one here weighs 2.2 kilograms, ready to use. Let's speak about softboxes, because as you can see here from the head of this flash, you cannot attach any softbox that you might have already at home. So you either get a ring for that, so that you can use basically every softbox, or you make use of the Profoto store to get a softbox for approximately 500 euros to attach it directly here to this flash without any additional accessories. Then you would probably say that this softbox cost about 4 to 5 times more than any other softbox that you might have used in the past. The big advantage of this softbox is that it's compact. Pop it open, click it in, and you're done. No adapter needed. Fold it back, pack it, and move to your next job. It gives you a super soft light, and there's no need to put in all these rods. It folds together with that simple switch on the side, and it extends within 5 seconds. And that's the big advantage of using the Profoto softbox that you've seen here in this video. As I told you at the beginning of this video, of course you can use any other flash out there as well. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day if you used a flash for 100 euros, 200 euros, or 500 euros, or 2,500 euros. No one's gonna notice that, because at the end the final result counts. But the way to the result counts for me as well. And that is super simple using Profoto devices. It's extremely simple. They connect instantly with each other, and Profoto is offering you the maximum simplicity, great interface, great photos, and value retention. That's why I prefer to spend a little more on my device, because I want to have it simple. I don't want to go into my cameras menu. I don't want to go into my flash menu and figure out how to connect these two devices. I just want to have it simple, so as an iPhone, because there are many phones out there for 200 euros where you can also use Instagram on, you can use WhatsApp, you can watch YouTube videos, and still people get an iPhone for 1500 euros because they would like to have it simple. And that's approximately the same thing with Profoto. You can get a flash for 200 euros, but you can also get a flash for 2,500 euros. And at the end, it's simple and it's working brilliant for all the jobs I'm doing. The Profoto B30 offers you 500 watt seconds and 220 full power flashes. No misfires in between. And it has also an echo mode, which I use most of the time, for high-speed sync beyond a 10,000th of a second shutter speed. Something I like a lot is that it has a continuous light. I can adjust the color temperature, and always instantly connects to my Profoto Connect. And I can tell you it's a heavy investment, but if you earn your money with photography, if you do a lot of events such as weddings, nightlife, festivals, you need to have a flash that's reliable, that connects instantly to your triggers or to your camera without breaking down on your jobs. So I've been using already the Profoto A10 for the last 5 years, this one here for the last half a year, and this one also here for almost a year now. And I can tell you on any job it has done a perfect job. So if you have any further questions on the Profoto B30, make sure you leave a comment below. And if you're more interested in the compact flashes from Profoto, I've done an extra video on the A10, how I set it up, which settings I use to take photos like these. Thank you very much for your undivided attention. See you next time here on the Daniel Life. And you can find my supporter link to the Profoto B20, B30, A2 and the Profoto Connect in the video description. See you next time und tschüss.